to Werezilla's Retrospective. I'm your host, Werezilla. Nintendo is known for many long-running game franchises that manage to get out a new game with each console generation, resulting in dozens of games over the course of an entire franchise. Star Fox is not one of them.
While there may not be as many Star Fox games as, say, Mario or Legend of Zelda, they do make up for it by having them be consistently good space shooting games. Star Fox began as an SNES game about the team of anthropomorphic animal mercenaries who faced off against Andross, a giant floating head trying to take over the galaxy. However, when it came time to bring Fox and Company to the GameCube, they took a very different approach to the series. And that approach is what I alluded to in the last episode, Star Fox Adventures.
Which the game describes itself as, at the far edge of the Lilac System, an army of diabolical dinosaurs has shattered the tranquil world of Dinosaur Planet. The future looks bleak until Fox McCloud enters the fray. For the first time in his legendary career, Fox leaves his R-Wing to battle enemies in hand-to-hand combat with an enchanted staff of untold powers. Yep, that sounds like a Star Fox game to me.
We open with this scantily dressed young lady named Crystal riding a dinosaur. She gets a distress call before finding herself on a flying pirate ship with a dinosaur head. Yeah, who needs a maiden on your ship's hull when you got a dinosaur? And it's here where Crystal meets the Dragon Lord?
General Scales, Hiku, Kohud, or Taskuki, Eve Dinosaur Planet.
Oh, and so far everybody in this game has been speaking some kind of backwards garbled language that actually sounds more and more silly as the conversations continue. Despite the fact that Scales just addressed himself as a tyrant and a dictator, he claims he is not evil. And to prove it, he tosses Crystal over the edge of his ship. Yep, totally not a villain, so on the side of good. Crystal makes her way to a place called Krazoa Palace and runs into a race of Triceratopses known as the Earthwalkers, who were attacked by Scales' forces. She is told that the planet is in danger because the Krazoa spirits that gave life to their world have been separated from the palace. An Earthwalker tells Crystal she must go through the shrines and recollect the spirits, and that only the pure of heart can enter their shrines.
Which, according to some people, I don't qualify.
Crystal gets the spirit and releases it back into the palace, all while being watched by a predator. And before she can do anything else, Crystal is frozen in, crystal. How ironic. And then, over 20 minutes into the game, we meet our protagonist, the Star Fox team, minus Falco for reasons the game has decided not to reveal. The team gets a message from General Pepper from the previous game, hiring them to save Dinosaur Planet.
Okay, I am not getting through this retrospective calling it Dinosaur Planet. It was retroactively called Soria in later games, and I'm sticking to that because at least that sounds like a planet name.
Fox arrives on the planet, specifically the home of the benevolent Thorntail tribe. And then, just to irritate me, he and General Pepper have this conversation.
But what about a weapon? Why couldn't I bring my blaster?
It's always the same with you, Fox. Shoot first, ask questions later. This mission is about saving the planet, not blowing it up. It requires a different tactic. Try using your head.
Because it wasn't stupid enough for the Dino Defender to go to a dinosaur-infested island unarmed, now we have Fox, a trained mercenary, going unarmed to a whole planet of dinosaurs. However, Fox does get his hands on Crystal's old staff, which she had lost in the prologue. By the way, what does this remind you of? Fox eventually runs into the queen of the Earthwalkers, who for some reason is a Styracosaur instead of the Triceratopses like the ones we saw at the palace. And Fox can't understand a thing she's saying. Fortunately, what she's saying is being translated for him. Unfortunately, Slippy is the one doing it. You think his voice was annoying in the N64 game? Get a load of this.
You've got to go to the Ice Mountain and rescue her son, the Prince Tricky. You've got to talk to that big stone guy. She called him a warp stone.
Jeez, it sounds like Doug Walker's impression of Chris Tucker. I think Fox was actually more annoyed at Slippy's voice than not understanding the Queen. Fox agrees to rescue the Queen's son, Tricky, and instead of doing something intelligent like just flying up to the Ice Mountain on his ship, he talks to a warp stone to get teleported there instead.
Nobody ever brings me gifts anymore.
Yeah, that sounds pretty sad, but listen, I need to get to the top of the Ice Mountain to rescue the prince.
Nobody ever brings me gifts anymore.
Yeah, I know, I understand. However, the heir to the Earthwalker tribe is in danger.
Nobody ever brings me gifts anymore!
I'm trying to save your planet, which is literally breaking itself apart!
Nobody ever brings me gifts anymore!
Fine, take this hard candy, but if I can't save Soria in time, I'm blaming you. Fox arrives at the top of the mountain and sees some of Scale's soldiers, the Sharp Claws, beating up Tricky, and tries to intimidate them despite the fact the Sharp Claws can't understand what Fox is saying either. Fox chases the Sharp Claws down the mountain using the speeder bikes from Return of the Jedi and meets up with Tricky, who doesn't take Fox very seriously, at least until Fox mentions Scales captured his father. Wait, when was that established? We haven't even mentioned the king up to this point. Anyway, Fox and Tricky travel across Snowhorn Wastes, home of a woolly mammoths known as the Snowhorn tribe. Because woolly mammoths are dinosaurs and totally lived in the same time era, right? They return to the queen, who is dying despite being fine earlier, and Fox and Tricky have to feed her some kind of mushrooms to make her feel better. That totally can't be misinterpreted in any way. The queen explains Soria is filled with powerful magic that is continuously breaking the planet apart. Ancient artifacts called spellstones are used to keep the planet together, but Scales has recently removed them.
What purpose does that serve? Surely if he wants to conquer the planet, the last thing he would want to do is break it apart.
There is no profit to be made in the destruction of the planet. It is very bad for business.
Fox and Tricky are told they need to speak to the Gatekeeper of Dark Ice Mines, one of the locations that was torn off the planet, in order to even get to it in the first place. Again, I don't get why we can't just fly up to Dark Ice Mines, but whatever. They run into the Gatekeeper, the Snowhorn known as Garundate, who was given a choice by Scales to hand over the Spellstone, or his entire tribe would be wiped out. Garunda believes the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and tells Scales to fuck off. Unfortunately, his daughter Belina did not see Star Trek II and gives it to Scales. Garunda opens the portal to Dark Ice Mines so Fox can get the Spellstone back. We then get a sequence where Fox flies to Dark Ice Mines on his ship. You know, kind of like, Star Fox game? Fox and Tricky meet up with the captured Snowhorns, one of whom teaches Tricky how to breathe fire. Because dinosaurs and dragons are totally the same thing, right? Fox and Tricky get separated in a snowstorm, which results in Tricky getting captured, so Fox has to go get him. And despite Fox saying earlier,
Okay, but if you mess up just once, I'll send you straight back to Mommy.
Tricky will remain with Fox for much of the game despite this. They eventually find Belina, who is just a tiny bit upset that her father isn't concerned about her. After more searching through the mines, Fox and Tricky eventually uncover the Spellstone, and it's being held by the cockroach alien from the first Men in Black movie. He even beats it by getting eaten and killing it from the inside. Fox and Tricky return to Soria so they can return the Spellstone, but first I gotta turn the Thorntail's nightlights on. No, really. Do you have any idea how dark it was during prehistoric times?
Like, how much more black could this be? And the answer is none. None's more black.
Fox walks to the volcano where the Spellstone is, and yes, I said walk, despite the fact he could have just flown there from the ship. After returning the Spellstone, he hears Crystal's cries for help, and she's speaking in dinosaur despite the fact Slippy's translator has been in effect since we met Tricky. A Krazoa appears and cryptically describes how Crystal is dying, urging Fox to find the remaining 5 spirits to save her.
I can't just stop now to save this stranger. The planet is falling apart.
Even Fox agrees with the needs of the many philosophy. Still, Tricky and the spirit guilt Fox into going along with this, and Fox ends up getting his hands on the second Krazoa spirit. The Warp Stone proceeds to teleport Fox to Krazoa Palace.
Okay, Tricky. Let's find out where we can release the spirit. Tricky? Tricky!
Sorry. I forgot to tell you. I cannot warp dinosaurs.
That makes you completely useless to, the entire population of the planet you are on! Fox travels to the top of the palace and finally sees Crystal in person.
Wow, she's beautiful.
And that's not me being a smartass. They really did play this music during this scene. Once the spirit is released, Fox heads over to Cape Claw, a beach-like area, and meets up with the queen of a pterodactyl race known as the Cloud Runners.
Whoa! A Cloud Runner!
Shoo shoo!
Go away, Cloud Runner! Get away! Have you two met?
He is an Earthwalker. I am a Cloud Runner. Our tribes do not see eye to eye. His father has probably been saying bad things about me.
Yay! Racism in a Nintendo game. The Cloud Runner Queen reveals her fortress is among the locations in orbit, and that Scales has brought the Spellstone there. Tricky refuses to go to the Cloud Runner fortress, but that doesn't stop him from staying on Fox's ship anyway. Fox arrives at the fortress, and he and the Queen are promptly captured by Scales himself. Slippy sends Fox a Sharpclaw disguise that he uses to escape, and despite staying his normal size, the real Sharpclaws are fooled by it completely. Fox rescues the Queen and her 6 children, boy that's gonna cause a power struggle when it's time to pick a new ruler, and chases a bunch of Sharpclaws on speeder bikes in order to get the Spellstone. Yeah, we could have had a cool boss fight like the last one, but we'd much rather have a speeder bike chase. Back on the planet, we walk, yes, walk, back to Cape Claw, and after getting into a scuffle with a member of the Lightfoot tribe, no, I can't tell what kind of dinosaurs the Lightfoots are supposed to be, Fox returns the Spellstone to its temple. However, upon his return,